Yo, what's happening, people? United Central back with another video. I'm with my boys, Straightjacket podcast, number 61. We got a special guest in the building, man like cameraman Miles.
Who, me? I'm just some any guy, bro. I'm just some any guy.
Nah,
Don't clap for me. Don't clap for me. I'm just some any guy. Don't clap for me.
Cameraman's about the people's cameraman.
People's cameraman.
Yeah, man. You're a special guest in here, bro.
Come on, much love.
For guys who don't know, this is the United Stand cameraman, the guy who gives us all the kind of exclusives and whatnot. And when we lose it, this is the man to record.
And then whenever Syed needs to sing on camera, then I'm there. You know what I'm saying? I'm singing the oldies at the wall, and I'm the guy. I'm the guy that makes the stuff happen. You know what I'm saying?
No more ollies at the wheel, man. But how you been, Miles, man?
Not bad, man. Not bad. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously adjusting to this whole isolation life. Making the most out of it, working on other projects that I haven't been able to put as much time into, stuff that isn't really paid, but stuff that I can afford time to, like, you know, do stuff on now, making sure I get my daily exercise and all of that. So yeah, man, all good.
He's also spying on man in it to see if he can grass up any man who got a nice fade.
Yeah, true that. I need to stop talking about that because I might have to slightly hit up my barber and get a little fade still. So them home visits.
Yo, you can't make sure that. Listen, make sure you know that. All of you guys know that. Some of these barber man try to get hold of that personal protection outfit that the NHS staff are trying. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Trust me.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man.
Whatever it's called, that personal protection stuff, man. All barbers are trying to get hold of that in Manchester, anyway.
Man, I was walking down there. I was walking from work, and I see my barber, and my barber pulled me up to the car. He goes, "Yo, here's my card, yeah. So if you need anything, here you are." And I was like, "Yo, I don't know about that, guys. I'm gonna have to hold on to get me. I might have to look like, you know what I'm saying? Go like Joshua, man. You get me? But yo, big up Aaron in the cut. What are you telling me, Aaron?
I'm all good, man. Still in isolation. I think this is day 18 now. Yeah, this is day 18 for me. I'm actually enjoying it, man, especially if you got weather like this. I was sitting in the garden earlier just chilling, man, listening to music, you know, having a little drink, little juice, you get me?
Yeah,
so I'm living life, man, sipping, you get me?
Sipping, yo. And obviously the TikToks and that, world TikTok champion, come on, G.
I've run out of inspiration for the moment. But,
Is it?
Yeah. So you're gonna have to give me a few days to come back.
You have to start writing lists. Writing lists. Everything that comes to your head, write it down every time before you go sleep. If you've got a silly idea, write it down.
Actually, I've been looking at different like iconic movie scenes that we all know. Do you know what I mean? To recreate those scenes.
Did you see the other day on my Instagram story? Because I had just watched The Dark Knight Rises with my family. Yeah. I was doing hella Bane references. You have to do some Bane in there.
I have to. Yeah. I have to do
some killer lines.
Yeah, he's iconic, bro. He's iconic.
Listen,
the first thing I was
darkness is your ally. I was born in it.
The first thing I was thinking about doing is a scene from one of my favorite movies, Friday.
Oh, of course.
I have to do a Friday scene on TikTok, but then again, I have to find the audio. If it's available on TikTok, then obviously I can do it. If not, then I'm gonna have to figure something out. But yeah, it's coming, bro. It's coming.
You have to do the papoose thing, man. I told you. You have to
how have you not done this? What's wrong with you, man?
Bro, don't worry. I will do it. I will do it.
I told him the other day. You have to do the papoose.
How did you not think of that, bro? I'm angry. I'm actually angry you didn't think of that, bro. What's going on?
I'll do it. Trust me. I'll do it.
Aaron, that's the one to work on, man. You've not run out of inspiration, man. You got me. I want credits for that, mate. Production credits for that, mate.
Norrin, how you been, man? I see you wearing the hat. Where you been? It's not as if you got to the beach, have you?
Yo, man, like me's been going through it. You know what? I recently, I've been living in here now since December, innit? Like, I moved in towards the end of December. So I'm still going through some of the boxes, and then, boom, I found my hat, man. So there's a story to this, but another time, innit? Story time. I'll have to tell the story. This is a samba club in Brazil when I was in Rio. I walked in with another hat.
This guy said he'll tell the story later. He's telling it now.
No, listen, I'm not telling the story. I'm just saying to you. And this hat, actually, with the other hat, I got schooled on samba schools. They're like stadiums, you know. They got little stadiums, and they're like football teams, mate. That's how rivalry it is, man. Trust me.
Yo, big up everyone that's been on the Straightjacket podcast, and obviously first time Straightjacket podcast for Miles. But I feel like we have to talk on a sad note at the minute. Obviously, You know what I mean? A few deaths have happened in the last few days and whatnot. Pep Guardiola, and obviously, you know what I mean, Black the Rapper,
His
man.
mother.
His mother, sorry, yeah. And obviously, Black the Rapper, man, died yesterday. One of the pioneers in the rap game. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, obviously, Miles, will start with you, man, to get me. It's a bit mad at the minute. 2020, man. It's getting crazy, man.
This Black the Rapper, Black the Ripper. I don't know.
Black the Ripper.
Black the Ripper. I'd actually never heard of him, so I didn't know who he was. And did he die from the virus, or he just died?
No, natural death apparently. Natural death. I think something related to, obviously. I don't want to bring conclusion to it, but someone said
it wasn't the virus.
No, it wasn't the virus. No.
Okay, so yeah, that is the same. And I know obviously Troops and that Loomis and others know him very well, and other people really loved what he was about. So, you know, for all of those people going through that, it's a very, very sad situation. I don't know if you guys know the rapper Osh. Yeah, he lost his dad.
Yeah, I've seen that.
He lost
heartbreaking
his dad.
video, man.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people going through it right now. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's just very sad. I personally try to stay away from. I'm a bit sensitive when it comes to death and stuff like that. So been through like one or two bits myself. So just in life. So I just, when it comes to like the news talking about how many people have died, I just tend to stay away from it. But it is obviously very sad that people are losing family so close to them, dads, mothers, sisters, daughters, sons, all that stuff. So yeah, man.
And obviously Aaron, Pep Guardiola's mum, just go to show again, man. Coronavirus ain't got no specialities, you know what I mean? It's anyone's person can get it, man.
Yeah, anyone can get it, you know, especially elderly people. We've said it from the start, man. Elderly people and people with health issues, weak immune systems, they've got a higher risk of contracting it. So yeah, it's very sad, man. And of course, thoughts, prayers, and condolences. Everything goes to Pep Guardiola and his family and his friends, people that knew his mother and stuff. And it's sad because despite news like this, you'll still have idiots going outside and trying to catch a tan and shit like that. It's very sad, man. Until, like Flawless said yesterday on my show when we were doing it together, until it happens to someone that you know personally, I don't think anyone's going to take this as serious as we should.
Yeah. And obviously, Nuruddin, you know what I mean? Before you bring your propaganda and all that, yeah, Boris Johnson gone and taken into
intensive care, man.
Intensive care, man. And before you bring up... Nuruddin, hold on a minute. Before you bring up all your propaganda, please say to him, wish well. And obviously, you know what I mean? All our thoughts are with Boris at the minute. He is a prime minister. He's a human at the end of the day. And what's your thoughts on that?
No comment.
Are you kidding me? Come on, Nuruddin.
No, listen. You know what? Listen.
Well, sometimes you know what? I see why Nuruddin is saying no comment, because sometimes
I can see that as well.
If you don't have anything positive to say,
there's no comment. What I can say is that my comments would be more of the frontline people, the people that work in the supermarkets, the people that are making sure that the delivery drivers are still doing it. So the people that are making the country go in and providing all of the things that we need daily to survive, and all of the obviously NHS staff and everybody who works associated with anybody helping people, all of those people, a lot of them have died because of this. Like this, just because they wanted to help people, not just nurses, doctors, but cleaning staff. All these different people have been affected by this. So I have nothing but absolute gratitude, and I don't wish death on anybody. Absolutely anybody.
That's one thing you want to make clear, don't you?
Yeah. I don't wish death on anybody, but then also in the same time, I never want to be. I'm not letting anybody emotionally manipulate me into feeling sorry for people that I just don't vibe with. I don't vibe with because I know too much about them people. But I don't wish death on nobody. That's my parents raised me, and my community raised me never to wish death on nobody, and I'm not wishing death on anybody.
No, I agree with that. But
I will second the condolences, obviously, to everybody that lost their life worldwide. Everybody that Pep Guardiola, obviously, and then obviously a couple of days ago, apparently Uncle Robbie's dad passed away.
Sadly, man.
Yeah. So, like he said, I've got a friend who was one of the early pioneers of hip hop, UK hip hop. Rodney P. I don't know if any of you know Rodney, but he's a good friend of mine. Yeah, he's the brother is London, heart and out London. Do you know what I mean? He was him and his crew were the first ever rappers in the UK to rap in their own accent. Do you know what I mean? That's how pioneer he was. Do you know what I mean? He was that part of wave. There'll be no Grime, there'll be no Gary, there'll be no MC, none of these things without him. You know what I mean? You know, Black Thought, you know Black Thought. I'm sure some of you know Black Thought, you know what I mean?
I've heard of his name,
Yeah, he's part of their crew, you know what I mean? Now, the guy called Ty, but they all know and they're all devastated by the death of, you know what I mean, Black Ripper. So they're all absolutely devastated by his death. And my condolences go out to him and his family and friends and anybody who's a fan of music and culture, innit?
Yeah. And on that note, you know what I mean, we'll start with the football talk, and this is the podcast 62. I know we got a bit heated last week with Neil Ashton talk and all that, but I think we'll leave that to a minute because I think Nobody's heart rate's going up a bit. Yo,
do you know? Be careful, guys. If you look at where Saeed is standing now, just around that little corner there, Neil Ashton is there whispering in his ear what he has to say.
Neil, what are you saying, Neil? What are you saying? But obviously, this is podcast 62, and this is the Ollie versus Poch debate. Obviously, you know me, I'm a Poch guy, you get me? Pochettino FC, Pochettino the Maverick, Pochettino, I'm saying Senor Pochettino, you get me?
Right.
Listen, man, we have to give the accolade, you get me? Cameraman Miles, I'm going to start with you. I will start with Ollie first because I feel like Ollie's the manager right now, so we'll start with Ollie. For you, how are you at the minute? Because I remember talking to you and you were like, "Nah, I'm Ollie out, man. I'm done with him, man. I feel like his tactics are awful. It's not much going on at the minute." Where are you at the minute sitting on Ollie, and how do you think? Do you think he deserves another chance at the helm, or are you at the minute thinking, you know what, we have to look elsewhere?
I think times have certainly changed from when he had that really bad run, and for example, I turned to kind of from giving him a chance to being like, you know what, this guy isn't the guy. I think recently he's put a little bit of a modest run together, nothing too spectacular, but you know, Igalo has bagged some goals in the Europa League, and you know, and all of that, and you know, Martial is performing. So I'm not as quick to say Ollie out, even though I think long term he's not necessarily the right guy. But because he is slowly starting to put some pieces together, you've even got stuff like the Sancho talk going on for next season. If he can, I think all I'm saying is I think he should be given till the end of the season. I think you just let him ride it out. But for me, with what I've seen, I don't think he will do anything good with the rest of the season. I still think he will fall short of top 4. And I think he won't even win the Europa League as well. And then when I feel like when I'm proven right, if I'm proven right, then we can all look at it and say, this is what your manager's done. Now, can we say this was another failed experiment and move on? Some people will turn around and say, you know, he should still be given another year. He's working towards building something great, blah, blah, blah. That's all well and good. But we've given the same criteria to every other manager. And when they failed, we got rid of them, didn't we? We got rid of them. So when this manager does the same thing, forget sentiment, forget all of that. If he fails, he fails. We're looking for the manager who is going to show promise. And don't get twisted. Top 4 is a minimum requirement. Minimum. We shouldn't be in the Europa League. So if you're now going to tell me that our team is going to be in the Europa League for another season, you failed on the minimum requirement. We need to get into the Champions League. We might not necessarily have to survive in the Champions League every year. I mean, look at Arsenal. When they were in there, they never survived like that. They got to one final in whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? So we don't necessarily have to be getting to semi-finals and finals. But for now, can we at least get in there every year? Do you know what I'm saying? At the very least. So if your manager can't do that, forget all of this. He's a legend stuff. Maybe move him into another part of the club. Obviously, we have other areas where, you know, we could do with maybe some legends or some people else, you know, having big roles in the club. Maybe move him upstairs somewhere and get my guy Poch in and give him a run, because he deserves. If Ollie finishes out of the top 4, Pochettino deserves as much of a chance as Ollie has been given. Do you know what I'm saying? Poch doesn't have any credentials like that, but neither does Ollie. Ollie doesn't have any credentials in the Premier League. He's gone and won with Molde somewhere in some next Scandinavian land, but he hasn't done nothing here. Poch hasn't done anything here, but he knows how to deal with a big-ish team and handle big players. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'd say give him a chance at the end of the season.
Aaron, I want to go next to you. If you look at it in terms of the season, are we disregarding how bad it's been? Lowest points tally since Moyes. You know, he's got lower points tally than Moyes. We've had a shocking season in terms of before Bruno Fernandes. I remember losing my head in Watford excuse me. Yo, no corona, guys. You know what I mean?
Oh, damn.
You know what I mean?
Yo,
We've had
no, bring out your spray. Bring out your spray.
He was so
I've
nervous
had
the
a,
second he coughed. He was so nervous. He's like, "Oh, sorry, guys."
I've had a cough for about 6 weeks, man. I don't know what's going on with me. So basically, Aaron, you know what I mean? We lost to Bournemouth away. We've lost so many games where, if you look at it, Tottenham have bottled the season. Chelsea should have had top four, absolutely nailed on. Wolves have kind of bottled it because they've not took their chances. Arsenal, you know them, man. You get me? Them banter club, so we just leave them aside. You get me? But for you, if you look at it really and you look at it properly, Ollie's kind of failed in terms of where United should be in general, anyway.
I think I agree with you. What annoys me the most is the amount of times we've had the opportunity to get into top four, close to top four. I remember being on Pie Radio and with Flawless and Flawless Stroll and JV, and talking about the United bottle stat. Like 8 times we've had the opportunity to get close to top four, we didn't do it. And to me, that already says enough. You can have injuries, absolutely normal, it's part of football. You can have suspensions, absolutely normal, it's part of football. But sometimes as a manager, you have to be able to coach your way out of things. I remember Sir Alex Ferguson, he had injuries, and I'm not trying to compare here, but he had injuries as well. And remember that game where we played with 9 defenders and 2 attackers against Arsenal? We had something like Smalling, Jones, Evra,
2 twins.
Who played right back, and then we had Fabio, Raphael on the wings. We had Gibson and O'Shea in midfield, and then we had Rooney and Chicharito up front, and we beat Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you have to be able to coach your way out of things. But looking at Ollie's time at United, obviously he came in, and you can't deny that he's brought in that breath of fresh air because we needed that. When after Mourinho left, there was just a toxic kind of atmosphere in the air, and we needed to get rid of that. And Ollie's done a good job in coming in and just bringing in that breath of fresh air, you know. And I can't lie, in the beginning, I was all for it, you know, letting the players do whatever they want. Let's just keep it to that on the pitch, giving them the freedom to express themselves. That was good for the first 2-3 months, but there was a time where I was saying, okay, we've had our fun. Now we need to get serious. We need to we need to start creating a style that people can come to Old Trafford or people can watch us and say, okay, that's how United plays. So we need to, because they play like this, we need to create a tactic maybe to stop their kind of style of play. And then obviously we went on that crazy Champions League run and we beat PSG. And of course, emotions ran high and we beat PSG. We were all happy. But when we played against Barcelona, I said, over 2 legs, we're going to lose this. And people called me negative. People said, oh, you're being negative. You need to get behind the team or shut up. And you know how people say that, you know how things go. And I look at things, I am an emotional person when it comes to my club, but I'm also very realistic. And at that time, obviously, Barcelona at home, they hadn't lost the Champions League game since God knows how long, 2010 or 2011 or something stupid like that. And just looking at that already, that should tell you something. And obviously we go there, we played, 0-0 at home?
Yeah.
0-0 at home, and then we went to the new camp, we got slapped. So
your boy Ashley Young started doing some funny business.
Yeah, tried to do the Cruyff turns and stuff like that in our box and that. You know what I mean?
People forget about that, you know. People forget about that.
All in all, I'm thinking Ollie's come in and done a good job in terms of lifting the atmosphere and putting in a new kind of vibe, let's say. You can't deny that because the players are more happy. The players, I'm not going to talk about the tactical stuff, but just in terms of the atmosphere, he's lifted the atmosphere, innit? But football is a business at the end of the day. It's all about results. It's all about numbers. Yeah, we can talk about skills and whatnot, but we can't deny that football is a numbers and stats and result-based business. And at the end of the day, you can come out and say that you love the club as much as you like and that the players are improving in training. You can say that as much as you like, but if we don't see that on the pitch, ultimately, we can't roll with what you're saying, bro. Do you know what I mean? As much as I love Ollie as a player, I just can't give him the same respect as a manager. And, you know, obviously we talk about Poch as well. And I am pro Poch. I'm going to say that very honestly. And people say, yeah, but what's Poch won? Well, what has Ollie won apart from a league in Norway? And no disrespect, but sorry?
2 is saying.
Oh, is it 2? Oh, okay. My bad. 2 leagues in Mulder.
Get it right. Get it
Whoa,
right.
whoa,
Get
whoa.
it right.
For a club that never won the league. For
Okay,
a club
yeah,
that
but-
never
Okay.
won the league.
He's won it there with Mulder, but when he left, they won the league as well. So maybe that tells you the level that the league is at, or the club. So all in all, I think he's done a good job in terms of the emotional side of things. But when it comes to the footballing side of things, there's just too many basic mistakes. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, but he's coming and he's learning. I'm very, very sorry to say this and to break this to the people that are listening and watching, but when it comes to Manchester United, you can't come in and learn. Unless, the only exception for me is if you're coming from the academy and you're coming to the first team, then I will give you the time to learn. But when you're a manager, when you're a player coming to Manchester United, I'm sorry, there's no time. Well, there is time to learn, like the practical stuff. But I mean, as a manager, you should know what the club is about, especially if you've played here, bro. You should know the standards that we have at this club. You come in, you should meet those standards. And I'm sorry for this, from what I've seen this season, to finish off my point, from what I've seen this season, it's been too many ups and downs, and I can't see us going into next season challenging for the title. I can see us challenge for top 4, but there's just this tactical nous that, you know, he's lacking. And when everyone's fit, I would like to see what he does, where literally everyone is fit, and nobody will have an excuse to say, yeah, but this player is injured and this player is suspended. No, I want to see everyone fit. And I really want to see what he can do with a fully fit squad. Are we going to win games? Are we going to slap teams? Because I'm still waiting for us to go somewhere and slap a team. I'm not talking about the 4-0 of Chelsea, because that was just purely like counter-attacking football. But I'm talking about going to a football ground, whether it's Old Trafford, at home or away, going somewhere playing against the team and slap people from start to finish. You know how we used to do under Sir Alex Ferguson? Like, go somewhere and just slap teams up. That's what I want to see us do. And until then, still doubts.
Nuruddin, I want to go to you next. If this wasn't a club legend, if this wasn't a person who did that goal in the famous '99, would you still have that same feelings? I know again it's a boring question, but again, Nuruddin, this wasn't Mourinho. You told him bye bye. You didn't like Van Gaal. You called him snakes, boring snakes. David Moyes, you didn't give him a chance after 9 months. I'm sorry to say, Nuruddin, if this was any other ordinary manager, would you still have the same feelings about Ole?
Yeah, properly, yeah. Because David Moyes, never. Like David Moyes, when I heard the news, I literally nearly fell over. So when I heard the news that David Moyes had the Man United job, I nearly fell over. It didn't take a genius to work that out. That ain't going nowhere. Van Gaal, he's a guy that I regret. He's a guy that I regret. I regret because actually against the big teams, we were slapping the big teams, man. And tactically, he was trying to play the keeper ball. But he was stubborn. He was very stubborn. And he was also, as he got older, he became a bit bitter. Like getting some of the players, getting them to train with the kids. You know what I mean? Testing out all these youngsters. So aspects of it, he was doing madness. Obviously, at times, he made me laugh. You know what I mean? It's the famous drop on the touchline at OT. It's legendary. It's the other time when he started talking about kinky sex and all that. You know what I mean? He started talking about sadomasochism and all that in their match of the day interview. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Calling people Mike Smalling.
Oh, yeah, Mike Smalling. But he's the regret, because I'm like, if we did give him time, what would we bear the fruits? But I'm gonna actually disagree with a lot of you guys, understandably. I'm gonna
shock.
Yeah. So if you were to get 11 stones or 11 rocks, for me, the biggest thing about Ollie is in control of certain things. And I've sat here on the Straightjacket podcast, and I've said the times where Ollie needs to be criticised. One of the things, Miles might be in the cameraman, went viral when I was like, I've had enough of this guy. You know what I mean? When I was like, you ain't the guy, because I've let my frustration overspill, because I am a reactionary fan. That's how I always will be. If you're not a reactionary fan, then you're in the wrong game, mate.
You don't love the club.
Yeah, you know what? You're in the wrong spot. But when in this couple of months, in this couple of weeks or month or so, that we've not been playing football, I've had a really, mentally had a proper examine on the full picture of Ollie. So there's the things that Ollie and his coaching staff are in control of, and there's other outside things that they're not in control of, which indirectly make his job harder or easier. Do you understand what I'm saying? External forces that he's got no control over that can make him. For me, it was all about recruitment. And the idea that we're going to blame Ollie, where players didn't want to be here, where Man United and Ed Woodward made an absolute mess of players' contracts. We're talking about Herrera. We're talking about Lukaku and Sanchez and these guys who wanted to get off. And then, so he's let go of 8 players, and then he signed 3. And then we're expecting, and I said it to you, both of you, in the preseason, the receipts are there on YouTube, Rude Boys, right? The receipts are there.
I don't know about that.
Listen, the receipts are there. And I explained to you, both of you, and I said, with this squad, I expect us to finish here. I expect us to win 1 or 2 games here and then fall off. But in the last 11 games, you're only good as your last, where you've been in the last form, okay? Ollie has... In terms of Miles, what I like about Miles' honesty, he was like, this guy's got to get out. I don't know, truly, on the whole of it. Do I know that Ollie is going to be the guy to win us trophies? Massive question mark. Massive question mark over that. But do I think that Ollie is the guy to prepare and to get proper structure in Manchester United in terms of getting the youth team, getting them into the first team, him getting that kind of culture and then kind of team spirit that needs to be done as a club, like as fans, us liking the players again, falling in love because we fell out of love with Jose. Jose, footballing wise, took me places I never knew was possible for me to go. Like dark alleys, mate, dark alleys. You know what I mean? Getting up like sweats, full of sweats at night, mate, nightmares. So that's what he was. One of the biggest thing about Ollie is that Ollie, in terms of style, was like, I'm going to be everything but that. Ollie will come out, back the players, even the horrendous performances, not say anything about the players, always try to stay positive, where at times it's almost a comedy. Like Neil Ashton, before Neil Ashton got there, Ollie teaching Neil Ashton how things are done with his comedy, like quotes coming out, right? Making the whole nation laugh. But in terms of looking at it, one thing I would say, when I look at Man United now, especially, obviously, like I always said, players, it's about one thing. You could be the greatest tactician, you could be the greatest coach. If you don't have the right tools to execute what you want in your games. So one of the things you might think, oh yeah, United only counter-attack. Well, if you know what, we beat City how many times? 3 times. We beat Mourinho. We're the only team to actually, Watford beat them. We're the only team who took points before that.
That doesn't get you top 4, Nuruddin, though. That doesn't get you top 4.
I'm talking about a guy who didn't have any squad. But in January, we signed 2 players. They lifted, they energized the players. So now you look at the form team guys. Fred got a chance. Fred would not have got a chance with any other manager after Mourinho binned him. I look at Williams. I look at Greenwood. I see positives. I understand what he's trying to do. And with the special introduction of Bruno and Igalo, I understand what he's trying to build. But obviously, this coronavirus come at a bad time because we still have these question marks. So we can't fully judge. We can judge Pochettino on his record and go, this is the record of Pochettino. This is what he did. But Ollie, the story's not finished yet.
Quick question. Do you believe that just a random question, Nuruddin, do you believe that the Premier League season should be voided right now? I just want you to answer that real quick.
I think it should be. One thing, you know what?
Okay. Can I just? Okay, go on.
Yeah. I just say to you, I don't think it should be voided. I think the season should be finished regardless.
So should Liverpool win it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. If you think that if they should be given it, okay.
Yeah, Liverpool should win it. Teams who get relegated need to be relegated. Champions League places need to be decided. I think the season should be finished. One thing that I did read, which is interesting, which comes to the point that you're making, is that the TV money was over so many years. Like the TV money, all of the TV rights, the Premier League was over so many years with different broadcasters. So if we finish this season and then we might have to, let's say, then write half a season off, and then the money still, Premier League will have it, and the wages will be spent because the contract was signed at. But you cannot void the season because there's so much money, and there's so many TV rights, and there's so many things need to be settled footballing-wise. So you can't just void the season. It'd be unprecedented. Even when it was wartime, they come back and played. They tried to sneak games there and then. So it's going to be very difficult to do that. And I think there's a possibility that can be done. I believe that.
The only thing I'm trying to say with that is is that if you want to end the season now and give Liverpool the title, that means you're saying at this point in time we're looking at Liverpool and saying that they deserve to win because they're first, right?
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying play the games. I'm talking about play the games so that they win the league fair and square.
Oh, you're saying play the games?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about play the games. I'm not saying void. I don't think just give the league to Liverpool.
Yeah. Cool.
Finish the season.
Cool. That makes sense. That makes sense.
So what I'm thinking about, the thing I'm saying about Ollie, just my last point, the thing about Ollie is that we can't, because here we go. Is this a false dawn? Is these wins a false dawn? You mean that game against Tottenham would have told us, I think, the confidence we would have got having Pogba back. And the thing about it is that Aaron said before, and we referred to it, these were not normal injuries, bro. These were like savage injuries where we had Fred is the only midfield player that was fit. At one moment, we had Fred as the only midfielder that was fit.
So you're not saying Perez a midfielder?
Listen, we had like we had what's the name? Rashford playing in injections, and we're there in the games, and we see him running like Dan James into the ground and not being rested. So we're looking at extraordinary where we've been stretched. Ferguson's team that you refer to, with all of this madness, all of them were winners. All of them were part of a culture that were winners. Regardless who went out on the team, United, win or lose, we give a game to anybody. That was Ferguson's mentality, and he was the greatest sports psychologist in the history of sport, for me personally, because he could motivate players who were absolutely high inequality, make them believe that they were great. So Fergie, try to have that as a conversation with Fergie teams, whatever went on a pitch. I never once felt that we were going to get let down. Never felt that. Never with Fergie's teams. I never felt that. But Ollie, the story is to be written. And if this season then continues, and if this season doesn't continue, he deserves another season. So this thing that you're building, Saeed, and you're thinking that's the debate of Poch and Ollie, might be a season into the future. So season finishes, then the next season starts. I can't see the Glazers sacking him. I can't see that. I can't see. So what we're talking about, what is realistic? What should happen, all right, or what is going to happen? And we can see that already. That's what ain't going to step up because Corona's messed all of those plans up, mate. All of that, transfers, everything. Football has to deeply look at itself, and there's going to be a restructuring of football from top to bottom.
Yeah, I heard that. And Miles, I want to come up to you next. Just in terms of, say the season's voided, and say Man United are looking to structure the football club, and do you know what? They start to look at it and say, do you know what? How we're gonna catch up Liverpool and City? Because I feel like for me, if we're gonna keep Ole, we're regressing for me in terms of how far we're gonna catch up to them. Because I don't think Ole is gonna catch up to Man City anytime sooner. And I think Man United should be the aim. It's always to win trophies and always to be within touching distance of Liverpool and Man City. So for me, Miles, I'm gonna look at you and say, if the season's voided and we don't play football and we will start our recruitment in the summer and all the transfer window opens and whatnot, should Man United be trying to at least look at Pochettino and say, you know what, let's test the waters. Let's see if we can have a Skype call like we're doing right now. And let's see if we can, let's see if we can deal something. Because Pochettino, for me, Bayern Munich, I've signed their manager and I've given him the job over Skype call. That's what I've been told, over Skype call. So why not Man United, Skype call, Woodward.
You see, so why couldn't you get Poch on the Skype call, bro? So we can get him to sign the papers right now. If we can get Poch on the Skype call, me and you can get him to sign the thing.
Neil Ashton. Imagine this, Neil Ashton and Woodward on a Skype call, yeah? Director of football, and you have Woodward, and then you say, you know what, Pochettino, can you sign a deal? Can we do a deal and commence for August or the pre-season or whatnot? Deal done in place. Pochettino as manager. If the season's voided, what do you think, Miles?
Don't know where Aaron's gone. I'm sure he'll be back in a sec. But it's a tough one. I see what you're saying, but I definitely don't think Ole's the right guy long term. I hope he proves me wrong because he's our manager. But I'm kind of leaning to where Nuruddin is because I do like things to be fair. So, there are times when, a manager needs to be sacked in the middle of a season. And I feel like Ole was, getting very close to that point. But he got, some of his players back And then all of a sudden, there was a bit of a rejuvenation within our team. We were starting to play better again. So it did make me look at the situation like, you know what? Maybe he's not my manager long term, but for the end of the season at least, he needs to be given that chance. So that, even though what I'm trying to say is, even though I don't think he's the manager long term, right? I feel like he will. If he's not the right manager, he will make it known he's not the right manager. So he will end up fifth this season without winning the Europa League. He will make it known. So if we haven't got to that conclusion to the end of the season where he hasn't made it known that he's not the right manager, then it's not really fair. You do have to give him the time to at least show he is as bad as people are thinking. I'm a bit of a reactionary fan, but not as much as some other people are. Like, I do think he's not the right guy, but
not me.
I'm not saying. Let me cover my webcam. I'm not saying nothing. The long and short of it is that if the season gets voided, he hasn't been given a fair crack at the whip. You can't just get rid of him now. Do you know what I'm saying? I think he needs to be given the time to show that he's as bad as I think he is.
Aaron, are we disrespecting Pochettino, man? Because we look at this here.
You're disrespecting Oli.
No, I'm disrespecting Oli because he hasn't won anything. You get me? Pochettino, yeah, and you know what? Pochettino hasn't won anything, but you know what? In terms of what he's built, I feel like that's a winning in itself of what he's built. You know what I mean? Of how far he's become, yeah. But Aaron, are we disrespecting Pochettino? 3 or 4 seasons in the Champions League solid, a Champions League final with a dead squad with a net worth of 0 million. You know what I mean? Consistently improving Tottenham, bringing world-class players, developing world-class players in Son, Kane, you know what I mean? And in Dele Alli for a few seasons was up there, you know what I mean? Top-class player. Do you know what I mean? I would disrespecting Pochettino, man, because this guy is ready to come to Man United. And we're just saying, you know what? We're going to leave with Ole, who might be all right, but you know what? Because he's a club legend, we'll deal with it for now.
I think the club legend status is definitely making people say that Poch is worse than Oli. Do you know what I mean? Because he's gone to a Champions League final and lost, and because he hasn't won a trophy. Sorry?
Well, the league as well against Leicester, don't forget.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit. I think that's a bit unfair, you know, because you look at sometimes you can't always look at the person or the person's character or how the person is. Sometimes listen to what is being said about the person as well. You listen to a lot of people in the football world, known people, like people with credentials. When they talk about Poch, they don't talk rubbish. Do you know what I mean? He's an intelligent person. He knows his football. Do you know what I mean? He's a very he's a man you can be around with, a very humble being, a human being. Sorry, and you know it, and you've said it so many times. Gary Neville spent weeks at the Tottenham ground, and he said, "Listen, if there's anyone to take over in the future, it would be Pochettino." So I think there's definitely, I'm not going to say disrespect, but there is a little lack of respect in terms of, because Oli is a club legend, people tend to say, oh yeah, but Poch hasn't won anything and he went to the Champions League final and lost. Yeah, but you need to get to the Champions League final first, bro. And that is a very hard task. Not everyone has gone to a Champions League final as a manager.
Against a very strong Ajax team, one of the best I've seen.
That's what I mean, bro. It was they had to go to the end over their own limits to beat the Ajax team. Do you know what I mean? And you just look at, like you said, man, I don't think there's any season Tottenham has missed out on Champions League football when Poch was there, apart from in the beginning when he was there. So again, he's got rid of a lot of players. He got in some very talented players. Built a very good squad, and not just there, man. I remember one of the European football shows, I said Real Sociedad, but it wasn't Sociedad, it was Espanyol. So I'm sorry for that. Sorry for my mistake. Espanyol put them on the map. Southampton put them on the map. Spurs put them on the map. You know, here's the reason why. If today Spurs has a little respect that they have today, if Spurs is being considered a top 14 now, it's because of Poch. Do you know what I mean? And so he's gradually, made step by step in his career, and he's gone up step by step. So I think the next step in his career could be Man United. But I do agree with the fact that, the season has been voided. Well, sorry, hasn't been voided, but it's been stopped. We don't know if it's going to carry on. So we haven't really seen what Oli can do with a fully fit squad. And I said it before, I want to see what he can do. I want to see if with a fully fit squad, if if we play against the Man City, let's say, everyone's fit, no excuses, no injuries. Can we actually go there and slap them, or can we slap them at Old Trafford? I mean, we've done it with our injuries, but I just want to see what he can do with a fully fit squad, and I'm willing to give him till the end of the season. See what he can do, and because obviously, if the season carries on, sacking him now is not going to make no sense.
Listen,
it's
I'm
not going to
sacking
make
right now, man.
and-
I'm sacking right now, man.
And I'm going to be honest, yeah, I feel like the board are going to look at this and they're going to go, well, the season stops, the coronavirus, it wasn't fair on Oli, so you know what? We'll give him another season. I think they'll do that. Even though I would be against it. I think till the end of the season that's fine, but after that, just look for someone else, man. Poch obviously is the ideal candidate, but I would say give him till the end of the season, because I've always said when you started the job, I'll judge him properly after 18 months. If the season is completed, give him till the end of the season, then we judge him fully. And if we don't finish in the top 4, then obviously, yeah, we can start looking for somebody else.
Nuruddin, that's very, very, you know what? Good points there, Aaron. Nuruddin, for me, I look at it, and I know your boys, Ollie, and all that, but do you not look at and see Pochettino as an upgrade? And do you not see the work he's done? He's improved, like Aaron said, he's improved every single team that is put forward to him. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer failed at Cardiff. Absolutely failed. And it was given money to spend, by the way, at Cardiff. He bought a lot of players, you know what I mean? There was a striker he bought for 20 million. I don't know if you know him. It was a Danish striker, I think it was, or Norwegian. He was a striker. I don't even come from Copenhagen, I think it was. I think it was up to about 15 million they bought him for. So for me, Nuruddin, can you not see the accolades that Pochettino has that might be inferior to Ole Gunnar
Sorry,
Solskjaer?
not to cut you guys off, but because you're speaking of Cardiff here, there was a thing that I read and I heard that as well, that when Oli was at Cardiff, the people, not in the boardroom, but people in and around, the staff and everything, watched Oli make the transfers that he made and just didn't understand certain players. They didn't understand why he bought certain players, and they were saying that they felt like he was just buying players for the sake of buying them with no real cohesion in and around the team. So I'm not going to say I can see that at United, because obviously he's bought the right players, apart from Igalo maybe, but Bruno Fernandes is definitely the right player he bought. But I can see why people are talking about the cohesion thing. I can see that, because as much as our team is improving right now, and as much as we were on a good form, we still can see the lack of cohesion. We can still see that, because we're still having to depend on a little bit of magic from Bruno, or a little bit of quality from Rashford or Martial, or anyone that's got a little bit of quality. We're still pretty much relying on that to win games or to score goals, because I remember there was a time we went like 3-4 games without scoring a goal. Then that was a bit weird. But yeah, sorry, Nuruddin, not to cut you off there.
No. Make your point.
So go back to my question, Nuruddin.
Pochettino, like I said, he's somebody that I always thought is a Man United manager. Just the way he carries himself. There is obviously, you know what they say in it, like class is permanent. You know what I mean. Form is temporary.
Form is temporary.
Yeah. So even though he had a worse record than Oli for Tottenham, and this is a team that he made and built, and they were absolutely in bits, in terms of wins from the season before and the beginning of the season. I can look past that and think that there are a couple of things. Not every manager was perfect. I remember, I don't know, maybe some of you guys are a bit too young. Maybe I'm showing my age again here, like I always do. But I remember those seasons where Chelsea were winning like back-to-back league titles and stuff like that, and like the groans and moans around Old Trafford on Fergie, and people like literally top Reds were like, Fergie's losing it. What the hell? You know what I mean? What's going on? And we weren't making the investment. Fergie then makes the right investments. We start buying players for those seasons, right? Man United, then we build a team, and then we build up to that team. We got like 4 strikers almost. Do you know what I mean? We got Tevez, Rooney, Ronaldo, Berbatov. Do you know what I mean? We got these players playing. So for me, it's about recruitment, and I always look to that. I don't want Poch coming in by himself. I need Poch to come in with a structure, right? I think.
Neil Ashton.
Listen.
Neil Ashton. Why not though? Neil Ashton.
Aaron, please don't leave. I know I wanted to walk out as well. Don't, bro.
Why not though? Neil Ashton.
Aaron,
Pochettino is there. It's ready. He's getting the money now that he wanted all along. He's getting the money now he wanted.
Listen, so if there was a proper structure, whoever the next manager is, I've always stayed consistent with this. Where, to me, because Ollie, at the end of the day, what Aaron said was right. Football is about the numbers in it, where you finish. All of the other things, it's about, if you're not winning games, if you're not look like you're getting the best out of the players you've got, then, you know what I mean, you get found out. So it's a very easy thing, football, you get found out. So I don't mind that, but what I want is the next manager. I want proper structure to be in place before we put in place the next manager. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, I always said, the day that you see me raving around and going crazy is the day we signed the proper footballing director. And then I was thinking, wow, do you know what I mean? Man United, I've got some, so I don't have to worry about players. I don't have to worry about managers, because Man United have to be a model team, a model club where managers come and go, but the style stays the same. The players we sign stays the same and consistent. I think Ollie's done a lot in terms of what you talk about, the plus sides. I think Poch did do a lot. He was given a free rein, even though at times at Tottenham, he would come out and say, I'm just a coach. I'm just a coach.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? But yeah, I would want him not to be just left with him and Ed Woodward. So he's got the credentials. I have some issues, but then there's not going to be one perfect manager that I'm not going to have issues with. You know what I mean? If Pep Guardiola was at Man United, we would not see Brandon Williams. We would not see young players travelling there, because look at how good their Foden is, the Stockport Messi. Look how good he is, and he can't even get in the bloody team. So every manager has their faults. I do have some issues with Pochettino, but at the end of the day, he deserves a chance because his record, he's not the next step. Man United is the next step in terms of his transition from Spaniol to Southampton to Tottenham. Man United is the next step. But I think that if Pochettino wanted, at the end of the day, he's still getting paid. He maybe needs to take a bit of another season out and to have a look at it and wait, because I can't see him try to rush back into it. Because one thing that's happened, people think, we can't go and join a team till summer. Well, that's gone further now, because Tottenham have got cash issues.
Yeah.
We can't pay that money, and you're still on gardening leave. So
that's the time for now to come then. So it makes all sense now, doesn't it?
Well, listen, I don't know. I don't think so. All I can say to you, Saeed, is that, you know, that dream that you've got there, it is going on like some smoke with Neil Ashton. So just get Dar and smoke on it, you know what I mean?
I'm smoking it right now.
Get the Cubanas, get one of the Cubanas out and smoke with that pipe, like a pipe dream, you know what I mean?
They'll actually might be coming up for a barbecue later on, you never know.
They're drinking Ed Woodward with him, yeah. That's it.
Yeah, Ed Woodward's in that one.
Behind that wall, we're going to have a banner at
Miles, I want to come to you next. I want to kind of close this podcast up, but I'm just looking at it and I'm thinking, if Pochettino was to go leave somewhere else to another club, maybe Real Madrid come calling or another top club comes calling, where do Man United go from there if they do sack Ole? And who do they go for next? Because we're going to be in a little bit of a bubble there, because I think Pochettino's the best Man United fit right now for Man United. And the more United delay this, and the more they keep sticking with Ole, then who else is out there to go replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? There's not many managers out there, top quality, that will come, because everywhere else they're building something. Nagelsmann, do you think Nagelsmann will come to Man United when he's building something at RB Leipzig? You know what I mean? Do you think? I don't know.
But he would. He would. If there was proper structure, he would. If there was a proper structure, the most things that most of these big... Are you telling me Nagelsmann to have Man United on your CV? Who the hell is Nagelsmann? What are you talking about?
Bro, you see Nagelsmann, yeah? Nagelsmann, the only club I could see him go to before, you know, they announced it last this weekend that just passed now. The only club I could see him go to was Bayern Munich, but Bayern Munich they gave Hansi Flick a permanent contract. So the only place I can see him come to is England, aka Man United. That's it. Exactly. He's not gonna go to Liverpool because Klopp's there till 2024. He's not gonna go to Chelsea. Lampard's there. He's not gonna go to Arsenal. They're not even gonna be able to afford him. So the only Arteta's there. So the only big club left, he's not gonna go to City. Pep's there for at least another 2 years because I think they'll still get over the whole ban thing. So I can only if we miss out on Poch, I can see Nagelsmann come to United. Maybe in 2 years' time. But until then,
the Ajax manager as well.
Oh, bro, he's a shout as well. Ten Hag. Ten Hag is a very, very good manager.
Yeah.
But then, Miles, when you look at it, then when people say, "Oh, who's Nagelsmann?" You know what I mean? I'm not saying about me because I know his pedigree, but there's people out there that are blindfold Man United and they don't really watch other football. Because I feel like with Man United, it's just a case of just watching Man United. We don't really tend to watch other football in terms of other clubs and other. So people are going to be like, you know what? Who's Nagelsmann? We got Ole, we got Pochettino. So
yeah, people. Let's say we appoint one of these guys. They'll quickly do their research and then they'll find out that some of these guys do have the credentials and have the minerals to go forward with a team like United. So I think once someone comes, for example, once Igalo came, everyone was looking at his past videos and saying, oh yeah, well he has this and he has that and he has a bit of strength. So trust me, people will do that for the manager. They won't know who he is, or what his credentials are, but they will do their research. I feel like, because I still feel like Ole is not the guy, I still think we're going to persist with him, and I think we're going to miss out on Pochettino, bro. Like, I really do. I really do. And I think that's going to be a big crime for us in the future. Ole may do well, but in terms of our future, I see Pochettino being the guy, and I'm just a little bit worried that we're going to miss the boat on him. And I think coronavirus will be to blame, so let's blame Corona.
Yo, let's blame Corona. Time's ticking, Aaron. Like you said, man. And I just want to get another quick word from you, Aaron. Time's ticking now. Time's ticking. You know what I mean? Not many big managers are out there now. You know what I mean? There's only a handful now that will be stable and that can be longevity. It's time ticking now for Man United to press the plug now.
It's definitely ticking, bro. It's definitely ticking. I'm trying to think of top managers around Europe right now. There's not many that are out of a job apart from Allegri. Apart from, I'm trying to think. I think that's it, really. Allegri's out of a job.
Maybe the PSG manager might be sacked soon. I reckon he'll be sacked soon.
Tuchel will be sacked, yeah. If they don't win the Champions League in the next year or so, he's going to be sacked.
They ain't never winning. They ain't never winning that.
I know, yeah, they ain't winning, but yeah, if they don't win it within a year, he'll get sacked. And I think that's it, really. So it's either Tuchel, Pochettino, or Allegri, and I don't think people want Allegri or Tuchel because they're both very inconsistent in their formations. So yeah, Pochettino is definitely the only guy that seems to be the right fit. So time's ticking, man. Time's ticking because a lot of the top managers or a lot of managers are in the job right now, and they're not going to leave their clubs for the next 2-3 years unless something drastic happens and they get sacked. So time's definitely ticking.
Nuruddin, are you just going to buy with the time? Are you just going to enjoy this 99 feeling? Are you going to enjoy the legendary feeling? And then Man United sink and sink and sink. And then you realise that,
ain't nothing changed in the last 7 years, mate. Ain't nothing changed. You know the feeling that I get? The feeling that I get that Ole gets scapegoated, the form of Man United for the past 7 years. So they don't just look at what Ole's done like in his time, but they look at the last 7 years because Man United are sick of it. And the idea of seeing like your closest rivals doing well and winning with style. So there's a little bit, you're viewing him through these you know what I mean? Like these windows that are like for the past 7 year failure. And like I said, this thing's more bigger than Ole. It's about the structure of Man United, and I keep saying
that's what I come down to, Nuruddin. I come down, sorry to butt you in, but I come down to it and I think, is Ole going to be the shield for the Glazers for the next 5 years? I don't
think he's going to get 5 years. I don't think he's going to get 5 years. Like I said, we would have found out if this season just would have gone on without this coronavirus. We would have found out where Ole was. So if Ole would have been, like I said to you, remember what I said to you guys? I said to you about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, I said to you guys, I said, I give Ole 18 months or 2 years. I give him 18 months or 2 years, and I think at the end of it, I can have a proper kind of examination, like forensically, like look at what was his fault, what was external factors, what was the thing that helped him or hindered him doing his job, and look at it fully. And we've not got to that yet. So I keep coming back to that. Pochettino, whether he likes it, like I said, after this corona, it's going to take a long time for football to get back to where it was. I can't see people jumping the gun and managers' fees, like what managers, the money managers are on before. Everything is going to be under examination because I'm telling you, advertisers and TV rights dictate everything. They dictate, the money men dictate everything. And if the cash flow ain't available, there ain't going to be no movement. There ain't going to be none of this. Like, it's the whole transfers and everything that comes to it. I'm sure we'll do a straight podcast show just talking about transfers, how the transfer is going to change.
Yeah.
How Corona going to change the whole of the transfer. So I'm saying we play a waiting game for me. And then if Ollie's doing all right and Man United are progressing, we might not want to, so we might think another guy comes in and progresses it. But I always say, and I've always said it, even when I wanted Van Gaal out, I always knew when you sack a manager, you go in two years back. But with a structure, when you have a structure in your club, you've got a recruitment team, you've got a footballing director, you're not going back because whoever the new guy is, they're talking to, they're saying, these things are in place. You're a coach, you're going to come in and improve the first team. You're there to improve the results of the first team. And if you've got 2 years, if you can't do it and get us stuck to there, everything else is sorted for you. You've got a proper support for you built around you. And that's what I want the next manager, whether it's Poch or whether it's Nagelsmann or whether it's, the Ajax guy, whoever it is. I want that. And don't forget, Ollie, yes, is true. In terms of managing somebody like Man United, it's the thing that he dreamed of. So it's like he's living his dream. But he's come to Man United at a very difficult time, and we all look to him to fix every problem. Of course, Saeed, I understand you think that because the Glazers are emotionally manipulating some of the fan base and some and majority, because you always want to win with your guys that are part of your history. Do you understand what I'm saying there? If it was all good, if it was all said, you always, as a club, you would always want to win. And that's why we get all giddy when we see one of the local boys representing the local team. Do you know what I mean? We have those kind of emotional bonds to it. So, Ollie, to me, the story is still to be written. The story and the question marks still remain. I understand and I get your point. Like, because sometimes I have to take myself out of my own head and put myself in people like and Miles. I don't know about you because I ain't never going to put in myself on you with Neil Ashton because that ain't never happening. I mean, don't get that twisted. Like, that's never happening. But people who think Ollie's not the guy and who think Pochettino's the guy, get him in. I can see that. I understand your anxiety, thinking, damn, we're going to miss out. But I think what you are underestimating, that this Corona business is going to have lasting damage and interference with football well into next season. Season. And I can't see anybody going anywhere till, I think if we were to start, not next season, but the season after, I think football will be coming out of all of that. And then maybe back to business as usual, maybe.
I'm just going to put one last question and give me a kind of a quick answer. Where do you see Man United in the next 2 years, Aaron?
Still challenging for top 4.
Miles?
Exactly the same thing.
Norden?
If there's structure, if we buy good players, if the Sancho...
Oh my! I asked you the quick question. I said no.
So basically, if you look at the whole world, the world started like this and like.
It depends.
Listen, I told you.
It depends who Man United signs. Because it depends who Man United is, and how can I answer that question if I don't know? It depends who Man United. If Manchester United sign top quality players, I think even with Ollie, we could get to top 4. We could get to challenging. But if Man United's recruitment is abysmal and we're lagging behind, we're going to be back to where we were in the last 7 years. We're going to be
basically the whole podcast has been without structure. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is never going to succeed. Okay, fair enough. That's fair.
As Neil Ashton is. Wash your batty with that. Don't forget that.
Aaron, socials.
Yeah, man. At Mr. Aaron UTD across all socials, and I was gonna ask both of you, Miles and Saeed, man. We should do a stream together, man, on FIFA, and just I don't know.
Yeah, man.
All I know about FIFA is that I'm Saeed out all day, every day. I'm keeping that game. Don't you forget, mate.
We should
do
like.
Looking good on FIFA, man. It's not looking good on FIFA for me, career mode.
Yeah, we should do like pro clubs together, man. Just have fun, man.
That's a good idea. I'm down for that.
Do like a
if
pro
club.
Tomorrow
night, I'm up for it if you're gonna do it tomorrow night.
All right, tomorrow night I'm good.
I've got the rest of this coronavirus time to do whatever. So
there you go. So find me across all socials Mr. Aaron
Yeah.
UTD.
Miles, your socials, please.
If you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at cameraman Miles. That's Miles with an I in it, not a Y. And that's it, man.
Yeah, man. You're still holding out. You're still doing your bits and bobs, man.
Still doing my editing jobs here and there. Still doing some bits and bobs, making some new clients. It's just funny because I'm making new clients, but I can't go and film anything with them. But it's all good. We're setting some stuff up for.
But that's what you're doing, innit? You're teeing up, innit? So when you come out of this, you got job coming.
Yeah.
There you go. There's
some positive talks going on. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you guys afterwards. But there's some positive talks going on.
You know what? If anybody's watching this and they may be part of a corporation, because I know that doctors watch this, engineers watch this. You know what I mean? People in big business watch this. So if anybody's watching and they need editing jobs done, you can send that file over to the people's cameraman.
I'll put the links in below. I'll put the links in below for Miles. Nuruddin, your socials.
Yo, I've got to say to Miles, man, just saying, you know what, thanks. First, your debut on the Straightjacket podcast. And you're also wearing one of my favorite Man United shirts, bro. That's one of my favorite shirts.
Oh,
I don't like Nike, but that's one of my favorite shirts, actually. One of Man United.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Ruud van Nistelrooy times.
Yes,
sir.
yes,
Definitely, man.
That guy Red Devil called your therapeutic needs, but today's been a sunshine in Manchester. That's why I got the hat on, baby. I've had to, protect that shit. You know what I mean? That kind of faded hairstyle. You know what I mean?
just real quick. I was a little bit I was like looking at my phone a lot. This guy, so I think Aaron, the other day we did your stream, and this guy. He popped up in my mentions. I think someone had commented saying, you said, just did the sickest stream with my guys, us three, and, JV and Flawless.
Yeah.
And this guy comments, so someone comments saying, can't wait to see it. And this guy comments, hopefully it never comes out. You guys are a stain on the club. I was just thinking, you're so sad, bro. You're so sad.
People, I didn't even see it.
No, because it happened maybe 20 minutes ago. I just saw it on my phone.
Right.
That's so sad, bro. You don't want to see no one win.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what? It's mad.
It's funny that with all of the things that's going on with Corona, man's got enough negative energy to give out to the world. You know what I mean? To people who've not done anything, but only thing to do is have opinions. But to me, what that shows that rent-free, 24 hours a day, man.
Guys, it's been a pleasure. Cameraman Miles.
Yes.
Mr. Aaron United and that guy Red Devil. It's been a pleasure. Straightjacket podcast, 62 guys. It's madness, man. But I'm gonna go, organize this barbecue for Neil Ashton and Mr. Woodward. You know what I mean? It's gonna be, if you notice over there's a couple of beach balls down there, so we're gonna make it very. You know what I mean? We're gonna get a Sancho deal wrapped up, but guys.
I hope you like that. But you know what? I'm hearing some of the voices in the background as well. I think they're kind of having what Walker had. They're having a Walker party. Neil Ashton. having that kind of.
I need to get off the street. This is some X-rated street. I don't want no part in this. No part.
Yo, listen. Guys, like the video. Subscribe to United Central. We're road to 15K, guys. Let's do it, man. Subscribe to the channel. Like these guys' videos. I mean, go check their socials out. And yeah, man, we're out, man. Take care, guys. Stay home. Stay safe. And we will get through this because football will be back and we'll be loving life. Old Trafford lights, barbecues, it's going to be buzzing. Take care, guys. Bye-bye and peace.